It all began with a single, dazzling moment on the pitch. An audacious trick that many fans would call a prime example of Brazilian football flair. Memphis Depay, now wearing the black and white kit of Corinthians, balanced himself on the ball with both feet during the heated closing minutes of the Paulista A1 final against Palmeiras. In the blink of an eye, this tiny flourish unleashed a wave of controversy that would ripple far beyond that single match. While some called it showboating and disrespectful, others saw it as a celebration of the very spirit of the Jogo Bonito that Brazil has always championed. Little did anyone know that Depay's bold moment would prompt the Brazil Football Federation, CBF, to roll out a new rule altogether, one that has turned the country's footballing community upside down. From the outside looking in, you might wonder, why would a simple stunt, executed near the corner flag, deserve such a severe penalty? Isn't creativity at the heart of Brazilian football? Yet according to the CBF, Depay's move was more than mere trickery. It was a provocation meant to rile up the opponent. As of now, any player in Brazil who dares to stand on the ball with both feet will receive an instant yellow card, and the other team will be awarded an indirect free kick. For Depay, a man who came to Brazil seeking the raw, passionate expression of South American football, the new ruling feels like a clampdown on creative freedom. Many of his fans, especially those who adore the flashy style of play that made Brazilian legends the talk of the world, can't help but side with him. But that's only scratching the surface of this controversy. Ever since his days at Manchester United, Depay has been a name on people's lips. His flair on the ball and confident persona made him a standout talent, although his path in Europe had its share of ups and downs. At 31, instead of winding down his career or taking an easier route, he decided to test himself in Brazil, a country where the love for football is as vital as the air its people breathe. The Corinthians faithful embraced his arrival with open arms, hoping he would add a new layer of stardust to their historic team. Before he even stepped onto the pitch, Depay made it clear that he was there to celebrate the artful style of Brazilian football, what locals call the Jogo Bonito. He expressed excitement about learning from the legendary culture that produced icons like Pelé, Ronaldinho, and Neymar. To him, dribbling and trickery were not disrespectful but symbolic of joy and passion. These moves reflect the idea that football is more than just a sport. It is a festival of skill and imagination. Fans across the nation looked forward to seeing if Depay could merge the best of his European experiences with the unbridled creativity of Brazilian soccer. As it turned out, nobody had any idea how soon he would demonstrate that very creativity in front of a worldwide audience. On March 28th, the monumental Paulista A1 final pitted Corinthians against Palmeiras, two teams whose rivalry runs as deep as the ocean. Matches between these clubs are always intense, often decided by narrow margins and defined by furious battles in midfield. It was in the dying minutes of this clash that Depay decided to show off a bit of individual flair. The final was hotly contested, with both sides throwing everything at each other for the trophy. Tensions were already high. Every foul, every missed pass, and every shot off target seemed magnified under the glaring floodlights. As Depay received the ball near the corner flag, many assumed he would try to wind down the clock or shield the ball from the opposition. Instead, he feigned a cross into the penalty box, prompting a defender to commit to a block. At that precise moment, with a sly grin on his face, Depay hopped onto the ball with both feet. It happened in a split second, but the reaction was immediate. Some Palmeiras players saw red the moment they spotted Depay perched atop the ball. Teammates cheered, Corinthians fans roared with delight. But for Palmeiras, it was a provocation that demanded an immediate response. No one could have predicted the chaos that would follow. Within seconds, players from both sides rushed toward Depay, some incensed at what they viewed as blatant disrespect. Pushing and shoving commenced, and the referee scrambled to maintain control. Those on the Palmeiras bench leaped up in protest, with a few sprinting toward the touchline. In the blink of an eye, a mass brawl erupted, overshadowing the skill that had ignited everything in the first place. Things escalated so quickly that, by the time the dust settled, two individuals took the brunt of the punishment. Palmeiras substitute goalkeeper Marcelo Lomba and Corinthians midfielder Jose Martinez were shown red cards after a lengthy VAR review. The officials, keen to ensure the right calls were made, took what felt like an eternity to resolve the incident, adding over 18 minutes of extra time. Fans who came for a thrilling final certainly got their wish, albeit in a manner few could have anticipated. Most people assumed that the controversy would die down after the final whistle. Perhaps there would be some heated post-match interviews, a few social media rants, and maybe even a fine. But nobody foresaw what the CBF was planning. Not long after the final, the Federation released a letter to all clubs stating that standing on the ball would be considered an act of provocation. To them, it wasn't just a piece of trickery, it was a slight against the opposing team, undermining respect for the sport itself. Under this new directive, referees are instructed to award a yellow card to anyone caught standing on the ball with both feet. On top of that, the rival side immediately gets an indirect free kick. This was more than just a cautionary guideline, and it was a hardline stance that put a legal framework around an individual moment of flair. Fans of the old school might say the CBF was protecting the spirit of fair play. Others, especially those who embrace freestyle dribbles, flips, and flicks, argued that the Federation was stamping out creativity. Brazilian football has always walked a tightrope between flair and sportsmanship, but this time, many felt the authorities had gone too far. Memphis Depay was not one to remain silent. Within hours of the CBF's announcement, he took to social media, specifically X, formerly known as Twitter, to voice his disbelief. For him, the ban went against the very essence of Brazilian football. After all, he didn't move his life and career halfway across the world just to see the joyful spirit of the game suppressed. In his post, Depay questioned the Federation's motives, openly wondering who exactly was calling the shots behind the scenes. He urged the CBF to shift their focus to more critical matters that could elevate Brazilian football globally, like improved youth systems, better funding for smaller clubs, or even using technology to enhance fairness. Depay insisted that punishing a harmless display of skill was downright unnecessary. His words struck a chord with many fans, both in and outside of Brazil, who cherish the flamboyant elements that set Brazilian football apart. But that wasn't the only support Depay would receive. Ever since the days of Pelé, Garrincha, and Rivellino, Brazilian football has been synonymous with a joyous, improvised style, one that fans worldwide try to replicate in schoolyards and local pitches. The phrase Jogo Bonito is often credited to this flair and ability to merge athleticism, technique, and pure entertainment in a single performance. Critics of the CBF's new rule argue that policing an artistic move sets a dangerous precedent. If standing on the ball is too much, what's next? A card for an elaborate rainbow flick? A caution for a well-timed elastico? Ever since the days of Pelé, Garrincha, and Rivellino, Brazilian football has been synonymous with a joyous, improvised style, one that fans worldwide try to replicate in schoolyards and local pitches. On one side, there's the push for decorum and sportsmanship, ensuring that tempers don't boil over into violent clashes. On the other, there's the timeless allure of flair and artistry, an element that has defined Brazilian football for generations. Depay's challenge to the CBF underscores a broader dilemma. How do you preserve the magic of the game without stepping on an opponent's dignity? In the end, perhaps the biggest takeaway from this controversy is a reminder of football's power to ignite conversation well beyond the confines of the pitch. A moment of skill near the corner flag revealed a fissure in how we view expression, respect, and the future of the beautiful game. Whether you side with the CBF or stand behind Depay, there's no denying that something fundamental is at stake. The question now is whether Brazil, the cradle of flamboyant football, will bend to the wave of regulation or find a way to keep the Jogo Bonito alive and thriving, rules and all. After all, the world is watching, and the next mesmerizing piece of skill might either be celebrated or swiftly banned in the blink of an eye.